Welcome to Comics with Dan. This is the Comics Commute number 24. So I went out of town over the weekend. We went to Pittsburgh. So that was a nice trip. But I did not get a ton of reading done as a result, which is fine. Vacations they're definitely a lot of fun when you have kids, but they're definitely not relaxing. So there wasn't a whole lot of time for me to read, but that's okay. We got some quality time. Got to see Pittsburgh and look at some of the places that the kids don't remember, so that was fun. But in terms of what I did read, I read Star Wars Inquisitors number 1, which was pretty good, and I'll talk about that. I read Transformers number 10, which was awesome, as always. So I'll touch on that a bit. And I got to read Cal 1964 number 1. I have a review of that posted. I'll link to it here. It was awesome, and I was really excited to get an advanced copy of it. And so I've also been reading Mouse, so I don't think I'm going to cover that in a video. I might write something about it for the website, but I don't think I'm going to make a video about that one. But it's a very depressing book so far, but obviously it's well done. It's considered a classic for a reason. So, and then I'm going to be reading this week. It's just a DC week for me, because I have Nightwing 116, or is it 117? I think it's Nightwing 117, and Batman Superman World's Finest number 29, which I'm very excited for. If I could just make it so that I have a Dan Mora book coming out every week, then that would be cool. I realize that he can't produce that much art on a regular basis, but a man can dream. So Star Wars Inquisitors number 1. I was a week late on this, but the reason that I added it to my pull list was because Cal Kestis, let me back it up. So the reason I added it to my pull list is because the Inquisitors are main antagonists in Jedi Fallen Order. And so on the first cover, you see all these characters, all these Inquisitors that you see in the game. And I'm a huge Jedi Fallen Order fan. So I'm still hoping that we're going to get a Cal Kestis appearance, which would be his first appearance in a comic, from my understanding. There was a Fallen Order prequel comic that had Seer, and I don't recall if Trilla was in it or not. But there was a prequel comic. He was not in it. And so I think that having him, I think it's a 4 or 5 issue miniseries, Inquisitors is. And so I think that having Cal Kestis show up at the very end of this series, leading into his own series, would just be perfect. But so regardless of that, right, he doesn't show up in issue 1. All right, I'll say that. And so he doesn't show up in issue 1, but the main Jedi in this his name's Tensu Run, and it's great because there's this there's Order 66 has just happened, right? And so Jedi are being hunted down, and people are being persecuted across the galaxy and everything, and Tensu Run has become this symbol, this sort of inspiring urban legend, and it's really cool because he doesn't want to be this legend, and but he is, and you can tell he's in the book he's struggling internally with wanting to sort of just run away and not have the weight of this on his shoulders. And so issue 1, Rodney Barnes crushes it. I mean, and he's a really well-regarded writer. I mean, I've heard really good things about him, and I don't know that I've actually read anything by him before, but this is probably going to make me go check more stuff out because it's really good. So yeah, I mean, it's a really good story so far. I mean, 1 issue in, and we've set up sort of the main plot, which is that the Inquisitors are going to be hunting down Tensu Run, and dug really deep into this character. And so I was complaining, I think, last episode about the $6 price tag on this, and I still am not a huge fan, and I think the rest of the issues are going to be $4.99. Still not a huge fan that this was $6, but I will say that I think they needed those extra pages to flesh out Tensu Run before we get into the other issues. So I mean, I guess I'm a little more okay with it now than I was before I bought it, or before I read it, actually. Because when I bought it, I was still bummed that it was $6. So yeah, so definitely, if you see a copy of Inquisitors #1, it's a really good one. It's one of the better Star Wars stories I've seen in a while. I don't read a ton of Star Wars comics, and I'm not touching the drama that is the Acolyte with a 10-foot pole. So if you ask me about it, I'll politely deflect. This is a really good Star Wars story, so I'm excited for it. I also read Transformers #10. This was another good issue. We see sort of Shockwave's plan advanced a little more, and like, I don't remember. I mean, it's been a long time since I've watched the Transformers cartoon, so maybe I just didn't get far enough into it in a rewatch that I did fairly recently, but I don't remember Shockwave all that much, nor do I remember him being so awful. It's crazy because the whole first arc we see Daniel Warren Johnson takes Starscream and is just like, hey, like, this guy's evil, like pure evil. And then the next arc we see Shockwave say, hold my beer, I'm gonna be more evil than anybody. So I mean, Shockwave, yeah, I mean, he's pretty terrible. And then to see Soundwave sort of, you can tell he's uncomfortable with Shockwave's methods. He wants to accomplish their mutual goal, of restoring Cybertron to its former glory through the destruction of Earth. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see Soundwave. I have a feeling that Soundwave's going to end up betraying Shockwave. That's my guess, because he's just he seems like he's really conflicting right now about how they're going about things. We're 10 issues in, and I know that Megatron appeared in Cobra Commander, and he appeared in the Free Comic Book Day issue, so he's around. But I need confrontation between him and Starscream again. It's gonna just be, I want a whole issue of those two, of when those two meet each other again, because the Free Comic Book Day issue, that was legit. Like, that was so good. And I think Ryan Otley did the art for the Free Comic Book Day issue, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think he did. But I'd be perfectly fine if Ryan Otley was the next artist on Transformers. But that being said, Jorge Corona's crushing it. It seems like they probably couldn't get a bad artist on that book if they tried. So Yeah, Transformers number 10. I don't want to spoil anything because it just came out last week. But it was good. I mean, one thing I'm not sure about is that where we are in the current arc. I think that maybe I was confused before about how the first volume was 5 issues. I think the first volume might have been 6 issues. So I think we might still have 11 and 12 left in this arc. Because this might have been 7 through 12. So it definitely didn't feel like a final issue. It felt like possibly a second to last, a penultimate issue, but I doubt that they'll end the arc at 11. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's extremely quality. I've been saying it's the best book on the shelves, and there's still an argument for that. But with the way that Void Rivals caught on fire last issue, that might be the only reason it's not the best book on the shelves, is because Void Rivals might have taken it over. So I'm going to be reading Batman Superman World's Finest number 29, which is, I don't know where we stand in the current arc. This is either the penultimate issue or the final issue of this arc. But this is the implosion story. Doom Might is trying to take over this dimension, and again, like I didn't think it was going to be any good, but it's actually been a really quality story, and obviously the art's been beautiful. Really Jimmy Olsen centric, which is a good thing. I think that having a book more focused on Jimmy Olsen fits the style of World's Finest well. But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for it. It's fantastic. A month in and month out. I'm not sure where the next arc is going to go. Then I'd have to look at those solicits, or maybe I won't look at the solicits, and I'll just let myself be surprised whenever I open the book. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, fantastic stuff. Obviously, always good. So really looking forward to that one. So I said in the intro that it was Nightwing 117, but it's actually Nightwing 116, and I believe that this is 116 is part 3 of 5 for the Fallen Grayson arc, and so then that would make 117 part 4 and 118 the finale. Here's what I'm a little concerned about, is this is part 3 of 5, and we are just seeing where Heartless has framed Dick Grayson for his crimes, right? And that's cool. I like that idea. But I don't know how much time we have left, especially considering the fact that the solicit for issue 118 seems like it's not going to be plot for the current story, but rather a whole bunch of back padding for how great their own run was. And hopefully, I'm hoping that the solicit is that's just how it's written, and that we're not actually going to get, Tom Taylor writing an entire comic about how great his Nightwing run was. But I mean, all I have to go on is the solicit. So, and it's not like I even hate his Nightwing run or anything. It's just that the solicit looks like that's what it's going to be, and so that's all I have to go on. And if that's what it's going to be, then that's weak. But also, how are we going to resolve the the current situation in 2 issues. I mean, I know I shouldn't be surprised that there's pacing issues in a Tom Taylor book, but I'm a little concerned, right? And I don't want to sound like a Tom Taylor hater, because I'm not, and I do think he has a lot of strengths as a writer, and I think he's a good writer. But I'm a little worried that the pacing is going to be a problem again. So last week, one of these days, someone's going to answer a Comics Commute trivia question. I'm just going to keep doing it, and someone's finally going to answer, and they're going to be the only one who will be entered to win the New Mutants number 87, Cable's first appearance, second printing, and they'll be lucky. But last week, the question was in the opening pages of Absolute Power number 1, who was beaten up by a crowd of scared citizens as a result of Waller's fear-mongering? And the answer is Animal Man. Animal Man was beaten up in the opening pages. As I saw a comment, and I'm sorry I don't remember who made it, otherwise I'd give credit, but I saw a comment online somewhere that said, nothing's more dangerous than being a C-list character in an event. And that's the truth. I mean, just look at Heroes in Crisis. So this week's trivia question is going to be regarding Cowl, because final order cutoff was this week for Cowl 1964 number 1. So the head of Cowl, which is the Chicago Organized Workers League, is Jeffrey Warner. And Jeffrey Warner is a former superhero. Cowl is a superhero union. Jeffrey Warner is a former superhero. What was his superhero name back in, and there's actually, I'll even give a hint here, is that issue number, I think, 6 of the original Cowl run is not collected in volume 1, and it highlights Jeffrey's alter ego. So what superhero was Jeffrey Warner in the Massiveverse prior to being a Union Fat Cat? Alright, make sure you go to the website. I'll put a link in the description of the video. And so make sure you put your answers in. You put your answers in, and we will get some entries to win New Mutants number 87, first appearance of Cable. It's a second printing, but it's a really cool book. I like having, facsimiles and second printings of key issues, because I can not spend absurd amounts of money on key issues, which is great. So yeah, make sure you check that out, put your answer in. I believe that's all I had. So make sure you like the video. It's a huge help when people like the videos. It helps push it up in the algorithm. Share the video. Again, these are my favorite ones to make of all the videos I make. So I'd like to be able to justify making them with them getting spread around a little bit more. So like the video, share the video, make sure that you subscribe. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, it would mean a lot if you subscribed. That's always helpful as well, to get those numbers pumped up. And thanks so much for watching. I appreciate every single person that watches these videos, and hope that the content I'm putting out is entertaining. Thanks for watching.